We're live.
Good night.
So wait, go ahead.
Good night. Good night. Good night to our Belizean people, both at home and abroad. I want to welcome you once more to our 142nd, 142 episode of Belizean Affairs. This is a show that brings you truth, speaks to the nation and its people, speaks the ills, the good and the bad, and we are about people and nation. Again, we are not about no political party or associated with any. We are not being paid. We con we con we receive no aid from any of the political party, and we call a spade a spade. And to our listeners, again, once more, I want to welcome you. We have a very interesting program for tonight. Things that are happening, things that people are facing in this nation on a daily basis. We don't talk rocket science and talk about things that happening in other country. No, no, no. We talk about things that people are going through here at home on a daily basis. So on that note, sitting with me is Mr. Leonard Brackett.
Yes, sir.
Say welcome, my brother. And it's always a pleasure to sit with such a patriotic Belizean who always remember where he comes from, and remember his people.
Mr. Chairman,
And
you
joining
don't have to
us
big me up, but
lately,
you big up my head, man. Make my head
I
fall
know.
down.
Hi man, hi man. Hi man, sorry about that, my
Thank
brother.
you,
But
thank you,
truth,
sir.
man,
Thank you,
truth.
thank you.
We don't talk nothing that it's not so, no. And joining us also will be Mr. Gregory Brackett. He's in the background somewhere doing something, and
He is already.
he will
I
he
could
will
see him.
join us.
I could see him.
And as always, we start. This is not a church. This is not a. No, we are not preachers. We are not pastors. We are not the priests. What's the other name for? We are just patriotic and men of God. We know who our Creator is,
Amen.
and we answer to no other than Him.
Amen.
No other. So we always start with a prayer and then with a reading. And not note, I will ask Mr. Leonard to lead us in a prayer and then followed by a reading. Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the privilege to sit with you and participate in this program tonight. Uh, I'd like to read Ecclesiastes chapter 3, starting at verse 1. Reads as follows: To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted,
To read.
a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, and a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. And as you or Belizean people at home and abroad know, on this show We do a lot of speaking. So what we deal with is also coming from the Bible sometimes. A time to speak, and that is the time that we indulge ourselves in this on this show to speak. As one person had queried in the past, they had asked, why is it that we just talk and talk and talk? Apparently, they expect us to go and be the people who are going to be elected by them. Probably they are the same ones that would probably not give us a vote to be elected. But they ask us, why do we just talk, talk, talk? As if talking alone going to solve the problem. That's what apparently they are intimating. But if we don't talk and communicate with each other, we don't understand what's going on. And as a result, we keep on being taken for fools, as we have been dealt with for the last decades since we have been independent and even before then. So we will do our talking, but thank God so far, because of our talking, we have seen some results, and our
Amen.
people have become a little bit more educated to the issues of the day, which is what our program is all about. Thank
Amen
you
on
again,
that.
Mr. Chairman,
Amen
for
on that,
giving me the opportunity
Leonard.
for the
You want to
right.
do us a prayer there, Leonard,
Yes, sir.
please.
I'll just put my head for a second. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence. Thou who art the creator of heaven and earth, and all that in them are. Into thy hands we commend ourselves and this show and our country of Belize, its people and leadership, as well as this country of the United States, its people and its leadership. We pray that thou mayest continue to bless our family members, friends, and loved ones, each and every one of them. Thou knowest them by name and number. Thou knowest our heart, our desires, and even our most secret thoughts, loving Father. Please continue to be merciful unto us and help us that we may render to our people a viable program tonight. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. You know, like you rightfully says, we speak out on issues, that directly affect our people. Um, because Leonard, you know that you know the ills of our country, and the hard times that I would say 85% of our people are going through, Leonard. You know that we have some very, very poor people in this country, and
Mm-hmm.
things just seems to keep sliding with them, keeping worse and worse and worse. Sometimes they end up on the street, right? They end up on the streets, and yet you hear a government says publicly, past and present, that we gotta leave it to poverty, and then they eradicate poverty. Belize that one of the best country in the world, where hardly any people are in the poverty bracket, right? And Belizeans are living good. Belizeans don't have nothing to worry about, because the PUP and UDP government work for the people, and everything they does is for the people. And all the begging they go beg outside of this country that for the people. So yeah, they're right, all the begging and all the things they have gotten and loans and grants and things. People should be out of poverty, because not to mention lately, the diaspora had donated quite a substantial amount of medical equipment. I would like for the government to come clean to the Belizean people and say, this is the way the diaspora donated, and this is the way they. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Then a car now 5, 6, 7 pieces. Then a car. The next, they would never do that, because they cannot do that. As soon as the donated items come in, I know what I'm telling you. No. Enter this country, they end up in all the wrong institutions and all in the wrong hands. The one pieces we go to the public hospitals, you can count them, and maybe they are not in too much of a good shape, right? But anyway, I talk about these things because I know it's true, right? And shame on you, Mr. Prime Minister. You have the WASA going around, the cutout people, giving them 24 hours notice to go and pay their $15, Mr. Man, last week, right? But you know who tell you about these things that where you know the where where you know they check into? Nobody. None of the media houses tell you know that, right? Tell them about you know shortcomings, man. Sad situation, you know, to show you people cannot afford to pay their $15 water bill, right? And and where does the water come from? From a PUP water vat or a UDP water vat? No, it comes from the natural resources of this country. And sadly, no got no shame, you know, for $15. Wasa, you know, they go around, they cut out the poor people. And we no got no shame. The water, you know, they cut out for them people, dirty. For the past week in my municipality, like mud. Like mud, I no got no shame. And how does these people should know how much they owe when they know they provide good service? You know they provide one bill? Not everybody got internet or could afford. Damn, if they cannot afford $15, how they gonna afford Brazilian data or the digital data, right? And that's the way you claim that you inform people about the electricity and the light bill. Not everybody want a phone, Mr. Man. You need to generate a bill. The same way you collect the consumers' money, generate a bill at the same time for the next month and say, consumer, this will be your next bill for next month. Here it is. And put it at this person gate or they do. But you not do that. But yet, you expect how stupid and chance you are on the government facilitate you to do that to the Belizean consumers. And where is the consumers department agency? Where is it? Who looks out? Well, we here on this, through this medium, you know, we talk about these things because it's so not right. Leonard know and I know that a bill should be generated, right? So why don't, and not to mention the darn internet. You pay for 50 megawatts or
Megabyte.
megs or whatever, and you get 23. That's what happened to me. If I didn't go and check and had somebody say, Mr. Wade, you know they get where you pay for enough over the past 10, 15 years or whatever, you pay for 50, but you only get 23 seat there. And when you go there now, they got some cock and bull story to tell you and say, you know what kind of amps they use? That's the message. What kind of amps? Damn, you insult people intelligence, right? And then uno are not being held accountable, right? Because nobody care uno the court. Uno the utilities providers in this country uno chancy bad, right? And cut out somebody for $15 worth of dirty water. One of the water like chocolate. I put up posts about it a couple of times, right? We're not got no shame, man. And that's to BL. But anyway, I want to welcome our next host, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Welcome. Yeah, Greg, going to, you know, as you hear, I was talking about the utility providers right now, right? So introduce yourself, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome. I welcome again the Belizean people at home and abroad. And I'm also grateful to be sitting with you guys as my host, the chairman. Tonight you are touching a touchy topic, but having to give my input on that, we will get down to what is really going on behind us, for sure. Because as always, I bring the proof. And as they say, the proof is always in the pudding.
Let me finish up here a little bit there then, Greg, right after. I want to read out some then I want you to bring the proof, right? I want you to bring the proof. I know you got the proof. Thank you. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. My people and nation, lately we have been talking about our failing BL, right? And the inadequate service and blackouts over the years. And as we speak, it's happening. And not to mention the increase on our utility bill over the years. And as we speak, they do not have a proper billing system. That was what I was talking just now. For the consumers, they do not have it, which they should be providing it on a non-replacement policy, right? If your equipment damaged by their inadequate service, right? Such as your stove, I mean your microwave, your fridge, uh, um, your appliances, damage due to the constant blackout. You got to replace that yourself, which is not right. We hear we hear publicly of their $15 million profit in 1 year. It's public, right? So we shouldn't be having blackout because they have so much millions in a profit, right? Then you hear about all the loans, right? Grants they continue to enjoy because all they're doing is enjoying it. Then lately, you hear the amount of kilowatts needed to solve the blackout and the increase and the input and to complete the capacity needed for the BL company, right? And the experts said only 20 kilowatts was needed to complete so that the whole grid, the grid is full. Only 20 kilowatts, left to complete that, right? And and then you hear lately one loan for 60 from Kuwait, 60 kilowatt, right? When the export BL say we only need 20, but your prime minister say he give a loan for 60, right? Where the other 40 going, right? And then you hear about a solar system, right? My people, right? You know, we tired of here lies, man, right? We tired of here lines and this solar system. I know just now I hear it from the past administration, right? And in the end, the taxpayers, you know, always get it, right? And it's always the taxpayers' money, right? We the people will have to pay back, not the PUP nor the UDP have to pay back. The people will have to pay back all these grants and loans, right? Lately, we see WASA serving notice, a 24-hour notice for people who delinquent $15, right? And they give you a 24 hours notice to cut out, to go pay. If not, then can cut you out. Sad, real sad, right? Only in Belize, right? And what happened is that they not come and apologize for the bad service and the dirty water, right? And like I say, some people drink that dirty water, right? Drink all that contaminated water, then drink, right? Because they can buy Barryboyne water, right? The purified water. Then if they can't pay $15, how they go buy purified water? So it's a crime. It's a crime when they inflict on the Belizean poor people, right? That's a crime, right? We need to check on ourselves. And where is the Consumer Protection Agency in this country? Who are they protecting? Who? Sure, not protecting the poor people, right? But anyway, then you hear I talked just now a little about the internet and the cable, right? What happened to me? I was paying for 50 megahertz, right? And when I got it checked, it was only 23. So over the years, they were robbing me, right? So I call on the Belizean people, Belizean consumers, check one of the pay for, right? See if one of the pay for the right service, right? And when you go there, they got all kind of cock and bull story to tell you, right? That you're not educated enough to know what you are getting, right? So then dance you wrong, right? And they end up winning, right? Because no people barely have the money to take them to court, right? But anyway, another issue is the role of government, right, on the lands department. Why can't poor people get the service they deserve? Not want or what they deserve this service. Why can't they get proper service when they go to the lands department? Why can't Burn Belizean can't get one little lot, right? Only 50 by 100, right, feet. Why? Why it's so hard? Why don't they have why do they have the poor people application hold up for 10, 15 years, 20 years? Unacceptable. Why are we seeing so many real estate, right? Some local and some foreign, getting prime land, prime location, and they get that service sometimes in a couple of hours or in a couple of days. When you have the poor people application, some of them and tear it up and throw it in the waste basket, right? Now that is so wrong. Better need to be done, right? And then you have certain individual, they come and they get land, vast amount of land and subdivide it, right? One I saw on the internet, on the TV, on the Facebook, he have 10-acre plots, right? He's selling. That's Mr. Pitio. That's the landman in this country, right? And and he says so nicely, listen to ramble off, and it help the poor people, right? Can it help the poor people? Because the government, so he have somebody inside to facilitate him all the time, and he can move on from area to area to area and get these lands, all in the name saying that he's helping the poor people. Man, you need to stop it, youth, right? You need to stop it. You want to advocate to Cordell Hyde and tell him, man, please help the people, the poor people get my house lot, man. No give me no 10-acre plot no more, right? No help me no more. I have enough, right? Help the poor people get at least 50 by 100, man, right? It's a shame to see how they prostitute the lands department, they prostitute the immigration department, they prostitute the social security department, and all the other, especially the vital statistic office, being prostituted, right? Just for political gain, political mileage. We see it done in the last election in this country, man. No need to stop it. And the only time you see they come out and the lands department comes out and issue lots is when an election is close by. And where and who gets these lots? The last time the Julius Spot issue in his area in Valley of Peace. Who live in Valley of Peace? Where do these people come from? Right? Why don't you do it in Kamalote, Roaring Creek? In the other communities, why don't you lobby for the same to be done? Why are you showing favoritism? And you have the full crew there. You have the prime minister, you have the lands minister, and yourself, right? Man, it's a damn shame. People are watching, right? They say fool talk or not fool listen, right? But only could come up with these leases only when it's time for an election, right? I call on the lands minister, man, stop facilitating these people, man, and start to facilitate the poor people. Sometimes these poor people come away from down south, then come and spend days at your lands department office and can't see you, right? These things, man, I think in my personal view, The last Prime Minister said the Lands Department is a hotbed of corruption, right? And you say you can come and fix it. The last time you met with Nigel Pitio before you get elected and all the good things you promised, right? Maybe that's why you shut him up. Make it kind of the talk about you the other day. Like you never come true for him. Maybe, I'm just saying, maybe that's why you shut him up, making no talk about you no more. Right? Come on, man. You don't Belizean brother. You know, you should be facilitating your Belizean people, man. You know, Belizean people first. The poor people in first. The poor and less fortunate first. You talk it so nicely before you get elected, man. Come on, we don't need that new identity like that. Right? Straighten up, Mr. Man. And sadly, you know, all the resources does not belong to a UDP nor a PUP. They are all resources of the people of this country. The people of this country, right? Not for the PUP or not for the UDP, and it shouldn't be using prostituting it. You and Mr. Brisenio and your minions need to stop prostituting the people's asset for one political agenda. Sad to see what's going on in this country, man. These are the things that we talk about that is so not right. And we advocate. We advocate. We don't want no 10-acre lot. We don't want no lot. We don't want nothing. We don't want nothing from you. We just want you to do right by the Belizean people, Mr. Man. That's all we call for, right? Nothing more and nothing less. Back to you, Greg. I know I come back, sir, but you know, I just needed to, you know, to vent my frustration a little bit. And I'm not afraid to do it.
Mr. Chairman, firstly, I want to say this. When you have spoken about the internet service, I want the people of Belize to know at home that when you go to a ISP, and ISP stands for Internet Service Provider, most of these people who work there are in denial. They will tell you you can purchase it anywhere from 50 megabytes to 100 plus megabytes. If they tell you that they are lying, the Internet Service Protocol does not run on megabytes. Megabytes are capacity for storage disk like USB drive. The internet protocols run on what are being called MBPS, megabits per second. There is a total difference and denial
I didn't know
because
that.
some employees do not know the difference between megabytes and megabits per second. And that is how you get tricked because you go there and you want service and you say, well, I will take the 75 megabytes. That is unreal. That is not truthful.
That's
Because
what
in
they do to our
reality,
people, guys. That's
it
what
is
they keep doing. Yeah.
megabits per second, sir. No, just to put
Uh,
in on what, well,
Greg,
yes,
Greg, before you leave that point, can I say something also?
Go ahead, Leonard. Go ahead.
go ahead.
In regards to what you explained just now to the general public about the difference between the bits per
Megabyte.
second as compared to the megabytes storage capacity, there are different levels of storage capacity, you know, but when you're talking about the megabits per hour or per second, I'm sorry, megabits per second, that is actually how fast the system is working. And if you pay for a fast system, it means they're supposed to give you one fast system where will make your phone or your devices work quicker. It wouldn't take as long to load up the thing that you're trying to load up and work with.
That's how
As
they get you,
compared
Leonard.
as compared to when you pay, for example, for 2 megabits or 10 megabits. For example, That is a storage capacity. So once you go over that storage capacity, you run out. You cannot store nothing else. And unless you increase the size of your storage capacity with them, it means that you can't do any more internet transactions because you have used up what they have allowed you, what you are paying for, and what they allow your device to use. So, as my cousin, who is actually a electronic technician like myself and an electrical engineer like myself, was trying to explain, people need to know the difference because you're being sold one thing when you think there's something else in the sell you. And they know better, or they should know better, and they should explain to the people when people go and try and buy these services so that people could understand what they're getting, if it's what they really need, or if it's something else that they need to buy or pay for that they really need. But these people just sell you whatever they think that they can get their money out of you on, and that's the end of the story as far as they're concerned. They don't worry about your needs
Thank
or
you.
services. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you,
Thank you
Leonard.
very much,
Thank you,
Greg,
and
for
I just
allowing me
hope
to
that we
speak on what they
educate
were
the.
saying, no?
I just hope, guys, that we educate the public there a little for who did not know, or who did not know. We can learn the hard way. Go ahead, go ahead, Greg.
Thank you,
You
Mr.
wanna?
Chairman. Thank you for the right way to purchase a service is you go in and you ask them how much megabit per second is their service. And they should tell you, I think it goes from 30 to 50, etc. So with that said, that is the terminology. Anyway, let me go back to what you were speaking about, Mr. Chairman, and all the what I would call atrocities that is happening to the Belizean people as we speak. We are going back down the same road with no changes. We have the continuous issues with the medical system. We have the continuous system with shortage of sugar. Then we have electrical issue. And also we have issues of where government who is supposed to protect our environment is still doing actions that I will find constitutional to our reef. So we are in a system with a don't give a damn approach by the elected officials. But first, Mr. Chairman, I want to go to a video to hear what the Minister of Agriculture had to say about the power outage that is going on, not about the shortage of sugar that he should be speaking about.
It's horrible. It is disgraceful, I should say, that in 2024 we are having this crisis. BMDC that buys pulp from the farmers, the Peter Hire, the Sawasap, we are starting to lose product. We are starting to lose. This is unacceptable. We have to find a solution to this. We have to. We cannot depend on somebody to feel sorry for us and sell us electricity. That is not going to happen. Cabinet is very, very concerned about it. I believe, and I won't comment what it is, that we could have avoided this problem if we would have taken the right decisions in time. My view is that renewable energy sources is the way to go. I mean, there are thousands of people investing in solar systems. If we would have gone into solar systems 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been a problem.
That's
Now,
from one
Mr.
clone. That's
Chairman,
from one clone.
can you imagine this? This is like you going to bed and having a nightmare that the Minister of Agriculture would come and say this when he is not performing his duty to the people, even though Belize has two sugar factories. Can you imagine that? And I want to say something, and we can prove it tonight. They want to point the blame at the past government. But I would say this personally. This issue have been happening past 25 years ago. And who was in
More,
power?
more than that.
And who was in power?
Stand shame.
What they don't want to tell you, the word is capitalism. When you hear the word capitalism, you know what go inside with that? I will tell you, we have one to our north and one to our south. Capitalism goes along with becoming a what? A republican state. That is close to communism, where you don't have a board like PUC that control pricing. And I will play it so the people can hear what
Uh,
a professor
Greg,
from Belize had to say. Hold
Greg,
on a second, cause
can I comment on Mr. May thing before you play the other part, if you don't mind? I would
Go
like
ahead, go
to.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
I,
Leonard.
I need to point out something about what he said. No,
Go ahead.
thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mai is playing the divide and conquer game, and he's actually switching and baiting, even though he's using some truth to what he's saying, because some of what he's saying lend itself to truth, but he's not dealing with the substantive issue or the fact of the day. That is, the reason why they are the government today is because they promised to do better than what was being promised before or done before. So going back and telling us that it's the people that came before them are to be blamed doesn't help. We give you the chance to become the government to help us now, and you're not doing nothing now to help the problem. What have they done to resolve that problem? 4 years and almost the end of a 5-year term, and they're still blaming the previous government for things that they should have done during the course of this government being in power. What did they put in place? You see, let me say something that the people need to understand. It's difficult for Belize to produce all the electricity for themselves, for the government, or for the people. If they prefer to buy electricity from Mexico at 2 cents a kilowatt, okay, and then turn around and sell it for 52 cents, no, I think I 40 something right now, maybe 45 to 47 cents a kilowatt. It means that then they pay 2 cents for it and they get 45 cents almost free gravy. So do you think that they're stupid enough to make any effort to stop depending on the Mexican supply of cheap electricity to us, and then not get that extra big money when they sell the thing to the people? Then could I sell get all the electricity from Mexico and sell the people at 5 cents a kilowatt, and then still make 3 cents and pay 2 cents for it. That will solve the problem in terms of the economy of the people. But we need to be independent, and we need to produce our own electricity, and we need to be able to produce enough. And for decades now, we have been talking about the bagasse from the cane farmers them that BSI was supposed to be producing electricity from, and BSI has not gone ahead and produced no electricity. Why? Because they don't want to share the money from the bagasse that will produce the electricity. They don't want to share some of them electrical money back with the cane farmers them who actually produce the cane to create the bagasse. Greed. And as for what Greg just stipulated about capitalism, It is who have the capital decide whether or not you want to succeed in doing business with them or getting any business done any at all. Because if the capitalists who run the factory decides that they don't want to take no more cane from the people and then just shut down the factory, make the people eat cane for the rest of their life or as long as they need to, but they're not used to their factory, it will then behoove the government of Belize to put a factory somewhere and compete.
Thank you.
In fact, we have a second factory right now, but that second factory has not been given authority to sell any of their product locally, which is why when they had the first problem, I said to the government, give Santander a temporary contract to fill the gap for the sugar what we need because it's been produced right there in our own country. And that's when I put pressure upon ESR, DSI to sell with the sugar cheaper so that they could stay in a business and not have one competitor. They talk about capitalism is competitiveness, but then they take the government powers that they subordinate and force the people in to give them one contract to make their BSR, ASI bring in sugar from abroad with twice as much as we were paying for it. And then no, they don't want to drop the price. So they keep us over a barrel by making the sugar be short again. So now we end up with shortage of sugar. When in fact, the middle they run right now and they have all the sugar where they make is being exported abroad. But we don't believe, we don't want to suck with finger.
Sure. Thank you, Leonard. Shoot on that.
You're welcome,
Mr.
Chairman.
Chairman.
Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My good cousin, capitalism is wide open.
Mhm.
And when I speak about it, it's simply saying that when you're dealing in capitalism, the government has no control. It's open market. And to prove that, let me play this tape for you guys. People at home, I want you to listen fairly.
Welcome back. In studios, we have Dr. Philip Castillo, economist and lecturer at the University of Belize. So thanks for joining us to talk about sugar.
Thank you.
So we would like to know your opinion on the sugar scarcity.
So as we were told earlier, the cost of sugar in Belize is artificially very low. That has to change. So there has to be a change in the price of sugar for there to be any meaningful situation, any meaningful moves to address the current situation.
Okay, so everyone thus far is talking about the price and the price increase. So who would ultimately be in charge of increasing the price of sugar?
Well, consumers pay all final price increases. It goes back to the consumer because the current price, it's a controlled price. And the aim of price controls is to keep prices artificially low for the consumer. Sugar features a whole lot in Belize's what we call the basket of goods and services that measure inflation. Sugar is a major component in that basket. So obviously if the price of sugar changes, then the basket changes, then inflation in Belize changes. But then that has to happen because what's happening is that with the price being kept artificially low, then the supplies are non-existent. So the only way to make the supplies available locally is to increase prices.
Okay, so your professional opinion, we would love to know what recommendations or policy you would recommend to solve the sugar scarcity.
You want government response to be grounded in economics. What I've been hearing is that they want to put the BDF on the border or to add to the responsibilities of the BDF on the border to assist in minimizing or reducing contraband. I do not see that as a sustainable solution. What I see as a sustainable solution is that you increase the price of the commodity. And then with government's increased intake of revenue from that commodity, government can then ensure that sugar becomes a part of the pantry. Right now, government provides a pantry to Belizeans who are below the poverty rate, the poverty level. So you could include sugar in that pantry. In that way, the price goes up, but then the Belizeans who could afford the price pay the increased price, and those who can't, then government would subsidize them by putting sugar as a part of the current pantry that it provides to persons who are below the poverty line.
Mr. Chairman, the narrative is strong. Follow the narrative. Subsidize. It is simply saying that you want to put more burden on the backs of Belizean. You want to take away price control. No. How can you do that when, as I said before, government is not playing their role? They come up and speak about the economy is boost is is boosting. But if the economy is boosting, where are the jobs that government's supposed to create or get with private sectors and create? This is showing you that government is in denial. That's why I use the phrase capitalism, because then you will stray away from having any entity to control price. That is called open market.
As you know, I know nothing that nothing to me doesn't make sense what that economist was talking about, right? Because I don't know if he's even living in Belize. But anyway,
Could I address it,
I
Mr.
say,
Chairman?
go ahead,
Could I
Leonard,
address it?
because I wanted
Uh,
to talk about
yeah,
something else here. Go ahead.
yeah. Um, the good gentleman is talking about textbook. Now, listen to me carefully. I'm choosing my words. I'm not trying to disparage the gentleman because he's well credentialed in his profession. But they're what you call economic hit people, both hitman and hitwoman, who know how the process get played and who know how to soft pedal the process. As to Greg, when you said capitalism, before I finish explaining what I was about to explain, let me differentiate a specific issue here, right? Capitalism is only one of the many isms. And that particular ism of capitalism have what you call corporate capitalism, some of which are benign and others which are what you call cancerous. In other words, just like how you have black dog and white dog, brown dog, green dog, yellow dog, you have all the different kind of dog under capitalism. Some that is good and some that is totally vampirish. All they do is suck blood and kill the horse. They then preserve the life of the horse so they could come back, come suck again later on. They have no regards and consideration for the horse. So now when we have our government in Belize being suborned by these so-called capitalists, we're talking about capitalists who come into your country to only rape and scrape. They're malignant capitalists. You have other capitalists who come in and invest in your country to help your country develop, while at the same time they're reaping some benefit because that's what capitalism is. They invest for their money to make one profit, but they're not making that profit with such level of greed that they are actually consuming and destroying the host that allows them to get that profit. The companies that we have that come into our country, they don't want to pay no taxes to government. When they buy their equipment or bring in equipment and develop the companies, the first thing before they do that,
Namely,
go to
Portugal,
government, then go to government, and
sweetheart deal,
they make sure that government give them all kind of concession
sweetheart deal.
that they don't want to pay no taxes to the government for decades,
Yes,
sometimes multiple decades.
yes.
And these leaders that we have in our country understand their assignments when it comes to that particular process. That is that they will get some of these jobs for the people, but they don't get no money out of their companies. Because then companies, they make the money for their profiteering or for their stockholders. They're not beholden to and have any interest in the Belizean people and the price of the goods. What the gentleman was talking about earlier, he was talking about increasing the price and following what you call the malignant capitalism, okay, with no regards to the people that they're in the, the goods from. Our government, if they were doing their job, wouldn't have to do what the gentleman was proposing, that is, subsidize under the poor the price of sugar, because not only poor people may buy sugar, everybody may buy sugar when the sugar gonna start. They're not explain that by having capitalism in its competitive form as a benign capitalism, that the authority of the government on behalf of the public should have been to give a temporary contract to Santander. Did I not explain that or said that before?
Mr. Brackett,
Just a
if
minute.
I
I'll
may,
close the thought.
Hold
I'll
on,
close
hold
right
on,
now,
hold
bro.
on, Greg.
I'll close
Go
right
ahead,
now.
Greg.
Did I not say that just before, as a part of what I was saying before when I first started talking? That would have been the solution to the problem. But no, instead of the government gave Santander a temporary contract because they had the sugar, they could only provide the sugar, and they could only provide it at the same cost where the BSR may provide it for, and probably even cheaper. Or even if they had to provide it for a little bit more, since they knew they had us over a barrel and we didn't have it, and be twice as much as West BSR end up the charge with. And then BSR may have one thing over the one sword over the head for the next time when they have one situation like that to perform better or to make sure that we didn't arrive at that situation. But instead the government gonna give them an extra contract to put us over the barrel twice as worst. To make them bring in for their sugar from their own companies abroad and charge us when the sugar may sell for I think that's 60 odd cents, 70 odd cents, they end up charge us twice as much, which was about almost 150, 170. And then refuse to try to drop the price of the sugar. They want to keep the sugar high, and therefore then they claim now that maybe they don't have enough sugar to meet their quota abroad as well as still service us. Give Santander a contract or make some of the local Belizean farmers then start to produce their own rapadura and crush the rapadura and turn it into brown sugar and make them sell to the market at home. Empower your local entrepreneurs. Because we could do that easily at Belize. But anyhow,
yes, guys, the thing is, thank you, Leonard. The thing is about the consumers, man. We advocate for the consumers because nobody else advocate. And I was on the utilities, right? And if you could talk a little bit more on WASA, because a lot of we need water. We need water, and Greg, you and I, and Leonard, the service that they provide us is very, very bad and contaminated service, right? So guys, I want to ask you, Greg, why, don't you think that better could be done with our water system, with the, right? And the way they treat this, the consumers.
Mr. Chairman, exactly what I told you about capitalism. Exactly what I mentioned. This that I'm speaking about and what is happening in Belize is a part of the Friedman report out of Chicago that has ties to the Monroe Doctrine. It's a Republican theory. My cousin should know that. All right? It's alive and living well because Belize, our government is running Belize off of the idea of the American way. If you listen to how the president speaks over there, it's the same philosophy. Why do you think that those immigrants who went through the border and crashed with the security forces, they are not being charged? Because the president keep repeating that minorities, immigrants, are the one who is stabilizing the country. It's the same mentality we have in Belize. The Prime Minister said it. And before I touch that subject, because as I said, Mr. Chairman, I will go to what you call the EL after this. Listen to this.
They pay slightly more than the $5 minimum wage, but this block factory and other enterprises like it which need manual labor are having trouble finding workers. You've been here for many years. Would you say that labor is scarcer than it used to be?
Well, I would agree. I would agree because one time people used to work for maybe at least $20, $30, and right now, due to the minimum wage went up. I mean, now it's like a problem for get workers. So I don't really know what's the problem.
According to Associate Professor at UB, Dr. Philip Castillo, it's not a problem. It's a good economic sign.
It's an evidence that the job market is strong. The most recent unemployment data shows unemployment in Belize at 4%, and that is considered full employment. So the job market is strong, and that is commendable. But then to keep it strong, to meet the growing demand for labor, I think the country has to liberalize its migrant work policies, because what that does is that introduces people in Belize who want to work. So Belize has jobs that Belizeans do not want for whatever reason, and then these jobs would be available for persons around the region who want to work. And I think that's the blend. That's the blend that is required for continued growth.
He suggests importing labor under more relaxed requirements while accepting that entry-level workers will now go to higher-paying call centers.
If you're looking at a student just entering the labor force, and then the call center is offering $8 per hour, most likely the student would gravitate towards that, because you're looking at $8 per hour in an air-conditioned place and you're fairly safe, and those are job considerations. But then there remains the other jobs, the block making and the field harvesters that can't pay $8 per hour, that also need labor.
So a workforce with a changing demographic may be in Belize's future, while accepting that many Central Americans just prefer to go right on to the U.S.
Nobody wants to even come to Belize anymore.
You mean the labor doesn't want
They don't want to come to Belize.
Why is this?
Why is this? Because the U.S. is there with the doors fling wide open. When people leave the country now to go looking for jobs, they go to the States. Why come to Belize?
So again, you heard it. To solve the labor problem, you must bring in more immigrants. But what is that doing, Mr. Chairman? All these professors, as smart as they are not looking out for the future of Belizeans.
They understand.
Because you know what?
Yeah, but that
The government,
is our
who
yes,
is
Greg,
the key individual who should help to create jobs. Let me go back 20 years, 25 years. Anybody living in Belize or abroad, name me any long-term job that past or present government has ever created. That brings me to ask one question, Mr. Chairman. Who owns BEL? I go to you to answer that question, Mr. Chairman.
Well, it's owned by I would say the partly the government and the other stakeholders, because they're all stakeholders in BL, right?
Well,
a company that was owned by the people, by the taxpayers, a company that was once Belizean, right? But I don't want to elaborate much on that. But go ahead. I wanted to touch that same issue about the WASA, right? And the service they're providing to our people. Go ahead.
There was a time when the water company belonged to and was controlled and managed by Belizeans. And under the Musa administration, when they were having their IMF pressures for the government to disband all government-owned assets, and they called it a privatization venture, the water company the electrical company, and all the money-making assets that the government had were privatized. Some to foreigners and some to local Belizeans. And then the government didn't have anywhere to make money to pay its wage bill and its services bills. And therefore, and these companies that were then private were not paying any taxes or money into the government. So therefore, the government had to come up with ways to make money. That is, to tax the Belizean people through other means. But the bottom line is that as of today, that you and I are having this discussion along with Greg, the WASA is not privatized anymore. I recall we took that back. Just like how we took back BEL.
Yeah.
But the BEL that we took back wasn't the whole thing with the dam and everything else. It was just the management and a small production of the electrical current. And we kept the distribution package and owned by the government. So we still have to pay authorities and the people that run the dam money. The electricity when they produce, when they have enough water in the dam. The problem is that with the water and the WASA, we have people who are on boards in WASA and others who are milking the thing, not as if it's a government-owned asset, but as if it was a private venture. And they're managing it as a private enterprise, when in fact they're supposed to manage it as a government enterprise, because at the end of the day, that we the people they belong to as the government, and that we the people have to come up with the solutions to the problem. But according to this present government, when they take over any of these institutions like the port and the electricity and the water and anything else that they take back, they give it to private people to manage for them. They don't give it to the civil servants, them who are already on the payroll. And these private people, they become members of different boards that get high pay and a lot of benefits, and they run a lot of scam, and the thing running at the ground, and we the people still they have to rescue it.
So Greg, I asked a question, right? That and Leonard, who does the poor people go to when, like for instance, when I mentioned about the, disconnection of there for $15, and who does the people go to when complain about they get one bill, who does the people run to complain? This country.
They got nobody.
Mr. Chairman,
right?
Let me.
This is what I'm talking about, and not just the happen, right?
Mr. Chairman, again, the word is capitalism. Anywhere in the world you go and you do business, banking system, money lending firm, farm shop, you have a grace period before they claim your item.
Yes, let me stop to there, Greg. But remember this grace period. How will these people know when they are not even receiving a bill? As I'm trying to tell you, how will somebody from, like for instance, maybe the village here know that you get your bill, Mr. Huang Chuko, Chupuko, or Mr.
Yes.
Jones,
Let me express this to you.
But you understand,
they have taken.
They don't even know their bill. They don't even know what they owe.
Chairman, they have taken away from the hard copy, which was the paperback, and they have moved to electronic using your phone or your email.
Again, not everybody got one phone. It's not everybody got one phone,
right.
like I said.
Right.
So let's go on. So I hope Mr. President will listen. Go ahead.
You should stipulate. We do have the airwaves, we do have technology, we do have social media.
Not everybody, yes, we do. Not everybody have these technology. That's my point.
Mr. Chairman, kindly listen to me. we do have word and mouth also, of which Belizeans are good at.
That's not the right way.
If
That's not
Mr.
the right
Chairman,
way to do
there is
business.
a, there should be a stipulation
That's not the
where
right
there
way
should
to.
be a 5 days period after the said payment day
We know all
for
that. We
you
know
to
all that.
pay your bill.
Yes,
Chairman,
Greg.
Mr.
We know
Chairman,
all that. We, right? But what happened to the people who do not know,
Mr.
or
Chairman,
who do not have access, or who does not receive a bill, or who, but they all you see the waterman come out there to cut out their water for $15.
Mr. Chairman, can I weigh in?
So we are calling out on the system to fix itself, to regularize themselves, right, and do the right thing for the consumers so they could get paid instead of taking advantage. Go ahead,
Mr.
Leonard.
Chairman, can I weigh in? What I see the problem is not that we don't have electronic devices and or media ways of communicating more enhanced than we had before. The problem is that these bodies now, they are government bodies, right? Semi or quasi governmental bodies. They're trying to change their way of sending out bills, hard copy bills to people. They're starting to do it in the city as well. They used to send you out one bill, and you receive that bill, and you have so many days before you have to get and
just like what
and
Greg
pay that
was
bill.
talking about. Yes,
Right.
it's itemized.
They're trying to
This
stop
is-
doing that now,
It's
and they're
like-
trying to send you a text and tell you it's time for you to come in and pay your bill.
I
And
don't got my
maybe
phone.
maybe they could tell you how much your bill is.
I'm saying, right?
But a lot of people go and they go try pay their bill and they tell them that they can't accept that amount of money because that's not what the bill say. The bill say they owe more than that. And in some cases, in the districts, for example, they're in a worse position than in Belize City. As you're saying, Mr. Wade, they don't even send out a bill in the districts.
Oh, you don't get
Which
one.
should be whatever you're doing in Belize City, you should be doing in the district and to everybody else.
Yeah, you should
can't
dream
put
that
the
tonight.
onus- You can't put the onus on the people
In the old
to
district.
figure out how much
Yes.
it is that they owe, how to read their meter, and decide how much they pay and when they pay, and all that. It is still the mechanics of the system, which is
In
what I
the old
understand you to be
district,
saying.
One
And they
should
need to do their job.
dream or just assume. I'm just being sarcastic, right? One should just assume when they should go and pay a bill or how much, or when is the due date, or when it's not the due date. One should just assume.
I know some people in Belize. Wait. I know some people in Belize on the same point of the bill that go to the bank and pay their bills at the bank, and when they have a need to interact with the employees then they tell them that the thing delayed beyond what the people have already paid.
I'll go a little further. Here in this municipality,
you have to go in person to the office and argue with the people in the office, and the people in the office spin them around and turn them around in circles and tell them that's not what their books is saying.
Exactly.
When the people
I'll
have
go a
already
little bit
settled their
further,
account.
guys. Here in this municipality, as I speak,
Lot of
BEL
irregularities.
customer used to go pay there because BEL no got one paying what office. This is BEL office. You go and pay your bill at the BEL office. No, you got to go to either at money launder. I want to say money laundering, money cashering's place, right? Or WASA. Look like something gone between them and WASA. So WASA say, you know what? I know they collect them on a bloody a darn electricity bill. I want to find somewhere else. So where does that left the consumers? Don't you think by now BL should have an office in every district to go and pay? Man, listen, that's why I say we advocate, because these people have everything back way.
At one time, they were having private people
country.
collecting the money on behalf of the water and
So,
on behalf of the electricity.
It's not happening now here, and not in this.
And the private people, they were running their own racket on the side.
Yeah, it does not happen in this
But there's
municipality.
a whole lot of things that we could
Right.
be talking about.
And you go to pay your bill now, and when you go to the place where you go to right here in my municipality, you go to a cash shacking place or whatever. well, we system they done right now. And meanwhile, when you're there for your last day for them, cut you out, right? But you go, well, then you done because they cut you out because back when I check that system, what would the way no compare that like Belizean and right? Man, chancy, right?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Brisenio, you should have a BL office, and it's your job to make sure I see it done. Not come from the PUP pocket, but from BL purse. Put an office, a collection agency office for your electricity in all 7 districts, man. Why don't you do that? One on it, skip chancing the poor people,
Simple
man.
solution. Very
Right?
simple
Mr.
solution.
Chairman, this is a good topic of what I was
I
trying
talk
to
about things
explain.
that are affecting people.
Mr. Chairman, let me say this right here and now. The people of Belize does not own BL. Point blank.
Then they collect with
I will
money,
play
no?
the clip. I will
Yes,
play the clip
sure,
so the
yeah.
people at home and abroad can hear it. Capitalism at its best.
Bail is a separate legal. Bail is a separate legal person. This people of Belize don't own it. Fortis has a third. The people of Belize owns the rest, but it has private ownership.
But Belize has majority shares through the government, right?
No, the government has a third.
Okay, the government has a third. Fortis has a
Social
third.
security,
Social
the workers'
security.
money have a third.
Social security.
And Fortis has a third.
All right, so then you say private because Fortis private and also social security.
Well, there are private interests in there, yes.
Okay.
But the majority shareholder are the people of Belize, is it not?
Yeah, and they've entered into a shareholders agreement with Fortis that regulates.
The majority shareholder are the people of Belize.
Yes.
True. Yeah.
Yes, but you can't just pop and give instructions for you what. It doesn't work that way.
We got majority shareholders as Belizean. You see, that kind of conversation matter, but you can't have an answer conversation with you with respect to Kate and
No, but we're talking about raising the level of conversation. The company is a separate person. That's the employer. The shareholders get to participate in the company's affairs through voting at general meetings and participating in dividends. You can't go as a shareholder, turn up to BL, knock on the door, says, I'm a shareholder, I want you to fire Mr. Lizaraga. It doesn't work like that. That's a fiction.
Yeah,
but it can't work like that, though.
No, it doesn't.
No, but I don't say it does. I say it can't.
No, it can't. It would be a recipe for
You're
collapse.
talking about the mechanism.
Mind it a word,
It's the mechanism. It's the mechanism.
Please mind it a word.
It's the mechanism of how you have a company being run, but
right.
No, it's all companies
but
are
it doesn't
run.
change who the owners are.
It doesn't.
It's like I could hire a manager. I could be the majority shareholder. I could hire somebody, and that person responsible by the regulations that have been how they want to implement policies.
Yes, but you
I'm
can't.
still the owner.
But you can't go in there and tell him what
Yeah,
to
but
do.
I'm
Put
still
that one out, put that one in.
but you
one.
discuss mechanism, but that's not the value ownership.
No, what it is this, boss.
Yeah.
Because
you're a liar. You
yes,
know these rules.
and I see it all the time. I see the problem is societal and it's wide. There's a lack of corporate culture. You see that attitude that I'm the shareholder and I do what I want in the company? That's exactly the attitude that ignores corporate and undermines corporate culture.
But does the shareholder have ownership?
Of course.
It doesn't shareholder.
And he gets to participate in general meetings and vote on issues raised in general meetings.
But you are saying it doesn't get to
it doesn't
dictate
get
who
to
works
go
where.
to day-to-day management of a company.
Understood, man. But we know the type about ownership, though.
Yes,
because
you
it
own
has
shares.
ways, but it have ways and means.
Yeah.
When the shareholders get to participate, their decision-making processes where the amount of shares where you have a vote and get to dictate.
Yes. And then you
but
pass
you
laws.
have rules to it.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that you don't own.
Hang on. No, I'm saying you own.
Okay.
But you can't walk in there and dictate.
Yeah, man, you tell me about the rules, man. You tell me about protocol, man.
No, but she's saying that we the boss and I could tell you do this and do that. And it doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't work like that.
You have ways and means to how I can give instructions based on my percentage of shares. I can't come knock on it. But when there is a board meeting, when there is a meeting of shareholders, I get to have a lot.
When there's a meeting of shareholders, you get to have your say.
Yes.
Yes, and I want to point this out.
Vote on.
The company law was just exhaustively changed a year and a half ago. And they made perfectly clear that the duty of directors are to the company, not to the shareholder. I owe an obligation to the company. The company can hold me accountable, can sue me, can do me all sorts of
But the
things.
shareholders
I have a duty of fidelity, loyalty,
Uh-huh.
duty to not make any secret profits. There's a whole list
So
of
the
duties.
But
The
not to
duties
the-
are owed to the company.
So that makes you unanswerable to
No,
shareholders.
there's a chain.
Okay.
Shareholders can cause the company to do certain things and
Right.
the company passes it down.
Yeah.
But the shareholder doesn't get to walk
So
down to
government
the
can,
low
so
level
government,
and tell you
so
what
if
to
we
do.
tell the government that
Change me.
that we don't like this chairman,
Could appoint a new one.
you gone.
Yes.
So that's
But
exactly
you can't walk in a BL and tell the manager,
get rid of the chair.
you know, for the drive that
No,
truck.
we can't. We
You
can't
know,
do
for
that.
the
We can't do that.
pay the bill.
But
you know.
it lie on me. The same accusation I bring upon you when you contact my
Yeah,
thing.
no,
It
No,
lie
I
on
help
me.
you. I help you. I help you.
With the
I help you. I
with the
help
burn
you.
out your credit, but go ahead. Go
I help
ahead.
you. I help you.
No, I appreciate the credit not concerned to me. I appreciate they're kind of engaged.
So you see what I'm saying,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
We
Chairman,
have shares in there, but we don't make decisions. We
Mr.
have shares in there. As the good gentleman said, the people don't own it. You have
That-
shares in there,
just a
but
minute,
you
Greg.
cannot
Greg,
make decisions.
Greg, make I ask the
Yes.
chairman to give me a shot, man.
Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Remember what I
Boy,
said
oh boy.
earlier about these people where the government put in a power to run for we government companies.
Assignments.
They understand their assignment, and that particular gentleman understands his assignments. Just
Yes,
like
sir.
Mr. Lizarraga and all of the other one, then when they put in all these multiple
Yes,
boards.
sir. Yes,
They're
sir.
in those multiple boards to collect money and drain out
Yes,
the money
sir.
out of those different companies, just as if they were private entrepreneurs and working for private company. That's why, then, as you hear Mr. Mashalik say just now, the board
guys-
members them control the whole thing. And
So
the only
guys, in
time-
a nutshell-
the only time the ownership have any say that during general meeting. That is how they write the rules and want the thing to work. There are malignant cancer in the society. They
So
know they
guys-
operate to think as government employees. That's why I keep on saying that every time when the government, like, then just take back report and then put back the same rascals them that have failed us in the past to run the present port in at the ground so that they could hustle and the government not get nothing out of the thing again. And that's we the thing.
So guys, like I
The man
said,
acknowledge that we have majority shares. We, the public, and the government per se dictates the rules and regulations and the bylaws, and we could change them when we want because we have majority control. That's what ownership is. But the ownership that we have, according to them, doesn't stop them from doing what they're doing wrong, or we can't demand that they make any changes or do what we want to have done.
so guys, I could safely say, and
Bunch
I
of
could
scam.
safely say to my poor
Bunch
people
of
and the
scam.
poor Belizean at home and abroad, well, not abroad, at home, who are the consumers here in this country.
Hey, Mr. Wade.
We could
Mr. Wade,
safely say,
say abroad too, sir, because we the help here for it.
abroad, yes.
So include we.
No,
Not
but
play
we
that
know
game
we
like
know they
then
use
you
it.
decide
We know they
divide way and
consume
conquer.
it. We know they consume it. Now the consumers here, we know, right? Those who consume the water, those who consume the electricity, we could safely say that you're screwed, right? Nothing better will happen in the BL service. Nothing better will happen in the WASA service, and nothing better will happen on your other utilities that you are consuming in this country because of the system.
One quick point,
Right?
Mr. Wade.
So I could safely say that now to my Belizean consumers right here in Belize. Right?
You hear how
continue to
Mr.
claim your
Mashalek,
booklet.
you hear how Mr. Mashalek was arguing with Moores in the beginning when he was telling Moores that it's not BL is not owned by the government and it's not public. It's owned by Fortis because Fortis have 30%. No 30% holder is a majority holder and make any laws and bylaws or control the thing. We, the people of Belize, through Social Security and through
Nobody looking out
to the
for
government.
the poor people.
Okay.
Yeah, this
We
country. Nobody.
have majority share. We have we have not Chiquat, 2/3 of the shares.
2/3.
That's what we acknowledge. So how the hell you acknowledge that and within the same breath tell us that we don't have control or we can't dictate what we want to happen and
Again,
because they know the assignment.
capitalism. Where's Fortis
It's not
from?
capitalism, though, Greg.
Where's
That is not
Fortis from?
capitalism, Greg.
Where
That is
is
not
Fortis
capitalism.
from?
These guys that we put there are not supposed to be running our stuff like that. If they want property, it's a public property.
So who
controlled
will
by
hold
public
these
money
people to test, Greg?
on behalf of
Who
the
will
public.
hold these people to test, Leonard?
But
The lawyers
Mr.
them themselves.
Chairman, as I'm saying, when you have a foreign entity come in, takes over, and
That's what they
you
did.
you
They
have
did that
them
before.
running it, that is capitalism.
They
It's
did that before.
happening
We
in the
took it
sugar
back.
industry.
We took
It's
it back.
happening in
We
BL.
couldn't take back the dam from
Huh?
Fortis, so that's why they end up the 130% or 33% or whatever.
They are
They
making
kept
all
the middle of
the
the dam.
percent.
And
So
that's why they
sad,
understand
Now,
guys.
let me ask this question, Mr. Chairman. If this is so,
That's not
why is
capitalism.
our
That's we property.
Prime Minister going around trying to buy power from Mexico and all that if we have Fortis as the owner? Why don't they do it and produce more? Does that make
Because
any sense?
Fortis is aggrieved that we took back BEL from them. So they will not help us out of any kind of problem. If they want to do anything, push us deeper into the hole. You have to
2
understand the
minutes
mechanics.
there, Leonard. What would you say to the lands department there, Leonard? As you know where they go under the lands department, what would you say to them in 3 minutes?
Well, I'll tell you this. The Prime Minister said the place was a hotbed of corruption. And it was so long before he became Prime Minister. Okay? That's how far back I've been investigating that particular department. And I can tell you now that the senior people in back then that used to run roughshod with the department train the younger people, and those senior ones have left and gone on. And the younger ones that came up just continue the same shenanigan. And then younger ones became now seniors now. And then it train the younger one when they come behind them. And it will continue to be like that unless you get a government who put their foot down and a minister responsible for that department will put the foot down and send some people to jail. But it's not going to be easy to be done because those employees belong to the union. And the union will go and bat for them. But it needs to be solved. But it has to have also policies of state, where the policies of state include all the people of the country, not just the minister and cronies and their friends and certain real estate companies. Because that is what's really causing the problem right now. They feel like when they give the local Belizean people any kind of land, that local Belizean person is being helped or empowered. So they don't give no Belizean no land when they got no land or no money for get it. They want to give it to the people who come and get them all more read under the table. They are facilitating it. They said they give it 20,000 lots the other day. For instance, start the governance. Most of the lands that were given to people that came into the country that didn't have no money, that didn't want no assets. As Greg said, they could have used that same unexplained wealth law that they just created to go back out to some of them same people and dispossess them again of those properties. Because those properties were gotten under false pretext, under duress, and with wrong social security number, with wrong, some of them properties were private properties that people got them property taken away from them by the government. You know, a lot of different shenanigans have been going on in that department and will continue going on. The last commissioner that we had, Mr. Vallejos, when I first started to investigate that department before he became commissioner, he was a junior person in the lands department just shuffling paper back and forward, and the man rise to the rank of becoming the commissioner. And when they got an investigator and they haul money out of his house, Imada they claim that the money belonged to Imada. That of she money was she made save. No, they couldn't come up with how she gained or come into position with that amount of money. And he was not the only one. He was trained by other people that was doing that same kind of shenanigans before him. I'm telling you, I have
Thank
the
you.
evidence on these people. I have the
Thank
records of
you.
them.
Thank you. Thank you there, Leonard. Greg, 3 minutes there on that. What do you think, is the problem at the lands department, and how do you think that it could be better to serve the poor and less fortunate, and serve the people of this nation, born Belizean, who have a hard time by the lands department?
Mr. Chairman, I will
Because
be the first to tell
exactly
you.
what I'm talking about, and
I
you've
will
seen it.
be the first to tell you we have technology that is alive and living well. And I will say this to say it. Why isn't in all government offices or computer systems are not upgraded? Mr. Chairman, I can sit from my house using a program and see people in the United States. I can log into their computer and help them fix it. So you want to tell me that as government you have no control? Why do we keep upgrading the same computer only to delete the evidence that should be in those computers? Every time you go there, we upgrading the same old system. That is how they get by the Belizean people. And I'm saying this to say that the government, they make law only to silence the people and not themselves. If you look at the Common Assault Bill, Mr. Chairman, and now they are coming again with the Cybercrime Bill to reinforce it. They want to quadruple it. And I just want to play it quick, Mr. Chairman.
But not only that, like, scamming this kind of way, I don't know. I'm waiting to see the trial, of course, carried out and everything.
2 counts of obtaining property by deception. The penalty for that, according to our criminal law, is a prison sentence of no more than 10 years. And I say that, because we're jumping on into our second topic now, right? Still stemming off from it. And now, yesterday, the Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Karim Musa, was commenting on the scamming that's happening in Belize, and they're talking about strengthening the Cyber Crimes Act here in Belize, right? So they said that scamming has been happening recently. Jamaica has just hit with a huge wave of it, but now it's translated here in Belize on a much smaller scale. However, they still need to look at things, how to strengthen the law. So they're looking at that right now, right? So Section 41 of our Cybercrime Act is saying that any crime in any one of our acts that are committed using a computer system, the penalty for that will be 4 times the prescribed penalty. 4 times the prescribed penalty as to what that law offers, right? So the reason I said obtaining property by deception, no.
You heard that?
That's what they're talking about, but that's not what they're after. Okay?
Silencing the people. You can't say nothing about them on the airways.
That's what it's all about.
Imagine, they can quadruple the penalty, but not for themselves. Not for themselves. Because there's a saying. When thief steal, then go to jail. But when ministers take, nothing happens.
Because they're not
Just
thief.
imagine.
They're not, the ministers are not thief.
Thank you, guys. We have 3 more minutes left there, and I'll take that 2 minutes there, guys.
Mr. Chairman,
it's always a pleasure.
Before I run it, make a jump in point what Greg just said quickly.
All right, I give you 1 minute. Then you left me 1.
Okay. The ministers then take, and they're not take like what the thief then take. That's why they call it thief. The thief then thief while he bread or one bun or one can of something for them eat or give them picnic or whatever. So then if you go to jail for as many years as the ministers then want send in a jail for. But when the ministers then take acres and hundreds and thousands of acres. Okay? and they make their own villages now,
Yeah.
like Maxborough and many others. That is taking. They're
Yeah,
not steal
taking,
nothing. They
yeah,
just take it outright, right in your face.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr.
dear.
Chairman,
Yes.
and not to forget what is happening in Docron. After these people actually put a little village together with roads and all of that, and have the papers only left for
As we
purchase
speak.
price
As we
as
speak.
ready surveyed.
Yeah. So true on that. We'll hear the outcome of that pretty soon. Not too long from now. Guys, we are out of time. I have 1 minute. It's always a pleasure to be with your company, Leonard and Gregory, and
Same
I
here,
hope
sir.
that whatever our conversation here tonight, would be of some kind of help and value to our listening public, and we always, like I say, we advocate for the poor little one, for the poor people, the consumers. Like tonight, we're advocating for the consumers, and we don't want nothing back. We don't want them to come and pat it on the back, or we the advocate because we want something. Leonard don't want nothing. Greg don't want, and I don't want nothing. Right? We just call it out for what it is, and hope that better is done. Right? And I hope and pray that these leaders that we have, at some point, like one bad breeze will come and
blow
just
them away.
blow them away. Right? That's what I'm hoping to see. Right? Because we have been having nothing but bad crooks, jackals, who do not see the love of country and the love of people. Right?
Hyenas
So,
and vampires
yes.
and vipers at that.
And so sad, we have a lot of us here that accommodate them and facilitate them and help them along the way to do their evilness towards others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? My people want to facilitate these hyenas, jackals, and they make life miserable for poor
Everybody.
people, man. Huh? Anyway, it's always a pleasure to be in your company, guys, and hope that the public takes something from us here tonight, and thank our viewers and listeners, and please join us again on Friday when Leonard will have his show, and it'll be his show, and hopefully we look forward for
On Friday, we will
what he
continue
has
the
to
discussion we
offer
left
us.
off. On Friday, we will continue the discussion we didn't complete on last Friday.
Okay.
On the Constitution again.
Thank you, guys. Greg, good night.
Be